8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Coming soon. Snake River Manufacturing is developing a revolutionary new way to design and build a custom kayak trailer. This modular design lets you customize your trailer one piece at a time, allowing you to grow as you go.
You know, a lot of folks think gorillas can't read. But when the magazine's this good, even I had to subscribe.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for episode, I believe this is episode 40. I think I messed up. Episode 40 with Dwayne Walley. So this episode is brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing. If you have an opportunity, please go to snakerivermanufacturing.us and check out all of the kayak trailers that Steve and his crew are putting together. They're quite amazing. This episode is also brought to you by Viking Kayaks USA. Go to vikingkayaksusa.com and check out their wonderful line of paddlecraft. Some amazing stuff, and it's right here in the U.S. So, all right. So I appreciate you all joining me. This is going to be a great episode. I've been able to get a gentleman who has been a mainstay in the kayak fishing community in more ways than one. And I think he's got a great story to tell of his journey to TourneyX. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring in Dwayne Walley. Hey, Dwayne, how's it going?
It's good, Roy. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I am doing great. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and chat. So if anyone out there is a under the rock fisherman that doesn't know who you are, if you wouldn't mind, give a brief overview as to who you are and what you do.
Well, first of all, I'm just a guy, man, that loves to fish, and that's the plain fact. I love to hunt, love to fish. I like to be outdoors. Married, got a 29-year-old boy, and yeah, we just, as they say, we're all living a dream these days. You and I were just having a conversation about some things in the past that people had to go through just to make ends meet, and we just don't know how good we have it.
Oh,
But
yes.
a little about me is I'm from South Mississippi, where I was born and raised, and I worked with my dad we fished with my dad forever. I worked with my dad as far as just learning the trades that he had, in the mechanical and electrical fields, and ended up following his footsteps. Ended up being a maintenance electrician. I've been doing that for about 36, 38 years. From there, about as I said, we bass fished together. We fished a couple of tournaments together. Daddy always fished in his boat. We would just fish. We do the things that kids do. We get out with our dads and go fish and have a good time. And of course, then got married, moved away, and got my own boat. I had a 18-foot Ranger bass boat. Bought it used, but it was new to me, of course. And I ran it for about 3 years. Enjoyed it. Then my little boy came along, and it was time to kind of shift that focus to raising a family, and sold the boat, did the dad thing. We did the soccer thing. We did the, baseball, soccer, and all those sports and things. And shortly after that, as he was growing up, I wanted to get back into fishing, and my dad still had an old glass boat, and I would use it from time to time. I didn't own one. I would just go down and go fish with him, or he would let me borrow it. And he had a John boat, so I got a hold of it. I had it up here at my house for a few years, and then I started watching these kayak videos. These guys from 30 miles out, Ty Sutherland. I started watching his videos, and I was really intrigued by the plastic boat thing. I was like, and those things are cheap, and you can get into them. You can fish out of them. You can do everything you do with a bass boat, pretty much. You can do it with a kayak. And I said, I want to do that. I want to try that. Not necessarily out there in the big waters that he goes out offshore, but I want to try that, So I got in a freaking 10-foot You're talking about big guy. I got in
Mm-hmm.
a 10-foot FS, whatever it was, FS10, something from Bass Pro, and it was not pretty me getting out of it because it was a sit inside. But I caught my first bass out of that kayak. I didn't buy it; I borrowed it from a guy, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see what it was like. So I caught my first bass out of it, and I was hooked again. Okay, I was
Nice.
already hooked. Now I was really hooked, and so that kind of started the whole track that I'm on now with, and that was probably 2012, maybe 2012, 2013, and no 2012, and then I bought a Wilderness Systems Ride 135, sight unseen, bought it, got in it, loved it, fished out it for about a year, and was fishing with a good buddy of mine, and we were out just catching some bass and shooting the bull, um, and I'm not sure. I keep saying I've always said this. I don't know if iAngler was actually in existence then because I've always talked to Michael Christopher. Michael says that he started at around the time we started, so I don't remember who came first. However, um, me and a buddy of mine, we kicked around these ideas about running tournaments and how we could run them and how we could, how you could do this because I had a little background in web designs, web hosting, and buying.
Mm-hmm.
And so that started another adventure for me, ideas. And so uh, we were talking about naming this thing. Okay, what do we name it? What are we going to do with it? And we were saying tournament something, tournament this, tournament that. And I said tournament needs to be in the name. And man, something just popped. And it said TourneyX. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go check that domain and see if it's available. And it was available. I grabbed it that night, and that was the start of it. That was around 20, early 2014, maybe
Mm.
mid 2014. And then the wheels start turning, right? And I get on LinkedIn and I start looking for programmers because you just don't. It's hard just to find a programmer, But I wanted
Right.
somebody local. So in LinkedIn, I was looking for people in my area, and I happened upon this guy, and we went to our local coffee shop over here in town. We sat down and started sketching it out on a piece of paper, just what the basics were going to be, right? And within like 2 or 3 weeks, he had started writing some code and put some things together, and it was all web based back then. We just did
Mm-hmm.
web based. You just log in responsive design and submit your fish, and and most people remember that back then. And so yeah, that's how it kicked off. And and years went by, we just got better and better and better, and everybody wanted an app. 3 years later, and so we did the app thing, and so now we're on our third iteration of the TourneyX app, which is we call it TourneyX Pro. It's no different than a TourneyX app. It's just we had to name it something else because we had TourneyX out there, and Apple and iOS and Android do not like to have two apps with the same name. So we had to actually pull one out and put one in. And by doing that, we basically just created TourneyX and TourneyX Pro, and then we took the regular one out and left it as Pro. And so that's where TourneyX Pro came in.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been a long road. 11 years is a long time. It really is. I've met tons of people. I've met all walks of life. We from your kayak owners to kayak fishermen to dealers to manufacturers to um, I mean, it's been a road, man. It really has.
Right. So what really sparked your love for fishing? I mean, what was your earliest memory? I know you said with the glass boat with your dad, but
Well, there's a picture of me in my in my loafers. I had some. If I could find it, I'll show
mm-hmm.
it, send it to you or something. But literally, I'm dressed up in Sunday clothes. Okay, it was like
Mm-hmm.
I went to Sunday school, and after Sunday school, we went out and went fishing. And I was on the bank, and I was catching a catfish. I had a rod reel in my hand, and that was probably one of the first times. But my dad, we used to go camping like everybody else. You probably went camping to campers and this and another. But my dad and mom loved to camp, and we would
Mm-hmm.
go to certain uh, uh, water parks in Mississippi. So we would go down and we'd stay at like Flint Creek or whatever. But we used to go down to the water. The first thing we would do, we wouldn't even have the camper set up. We literally would back the camper in. Daddy would shut the engine off, and I'm at the water. Okay, I would go down there. Here he comes behind me, and those are some of the fondest memories I remember is going right down the edge of the water and just standing there looking out that water and just, not sure what I was looking at. I just knew that there was fish in there, and Dad would come down and we would set out a couple of lines that night and put some stink bait on it, throw it out, and let it sit there all night long. And next morning, you just go pull up catfish in the morning. I mean, it's the dangest thing.
Some breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some of the earliest memories, man. And then, of course, as I got older, my dad had a camp down at Jordan River, which is down on Bay St. Louis, the Kill. And we would ski in the river, and we would fish in the river, and we would go out floundering and flounder gigging. I mean, that's just the things that I really, really, really enjoyed and really miss, and some good memories, really is.
Yeah, I love those memories of going fishing when you're younger. So that's good, because some people, they come on, you ask them, and it's very surprising that the level they're at. They just started 2 years ago. Like the first time I fished was 2 years ago. So, what was your background before you got into like TourneyX? I mean, what do you do?
So as I said before, I fix shit. To put it bluntly, I fix stuff. When it's broke, I fix it, and it doesn't matter what it is. My wife says, she'll call me and she said, "I got this problem," and I'll say, well, and I'll try to fix it. She said, "I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen. Just listen to me." I'm not good anyway. But I fix stuff. And who is that? Cajun Rob. Okay, he spent time down at the Jordan River. He knows about it. But no, I fix stuff for a living. That's what my dad did. When he was in his 30s and 40s, and I used to go down to where he used to work and go into his shop. Now I have a shop, not my personal shop, but it's a company shop. So now we have our own shop that we work out of. But when stuff breaks at the plant, we fix it. So that's some of the things that has got me into where I'm at. That plus I have some background in web designs, web hosting, that kind of thing, buying domains, much like you mentioned buying domains and setting things up for people. Those are some of my background skills. And so I kind of met some of that with the fishing industry and the kayaks and kind of molded it together to come up with this idea. And it stuck. I mean, there were some directors that picked us up and took us where we are today. And we've been very thankful for that. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are now. So
now let me ask you, with your web design, do you have like education in that, or is it like on the job training?
OJT, So it was more of going out, learning about some code, HTML code, some PHP, not PHP mainly, just HTML. Did a lot of WordPress stuff, tons of WordPress stuff, and themes, and setting up themes and manipulating themes and database structures and things like that. So
any Dreamweaver?
Interesting. I remember that, but don't remember it that well. Maybe
I remember it giving me a headache when I tried to use it.
Yeah. So most people think that I do the coding on TourneyX. I don't do coding on TourneyX. I'm more of the visionary, more of the idea guy about how I'm listening to what anglers are telling me or directors are telling me. Hey, we need this or we need that, right? And then I sat down, put it on paper, and try to sketch out the plan on how to make that happen. And then I get my developers and I have them bring them in, and we sit down and try to figure out what we're going to do, and then we just do it. So, and sometimes it's whack-a-mole, because sometimes you do things and it messes something else up, and I know people will get frustrated sometimes, but you do things and it messes things up, and you got to go back and fix it, or so, but you have that. That's
backups to your friend. I found that.
Right.
Yeah, I did an update one time, and I went to go look at my website, and it was gone. I was like,
gone. You're like, what did I do?
That's not how this is supposed to work. Yeah. So, yeah. And there's plenty of people that have had issues, but when you're doing something for someone and they're about to look at it and you just did a quick refresh and it's gone, that's a little pucker factor.
Yes, it is.
So, but yeah, I saw somewhere else. It was like you were talking about, just like you said, the fix it and the if it can be, if it can be fixed, that's what you do. I grew up working on a farm, and they had very tight budgets, and their philosophy was somebody made it, in the first place, we can do it again.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we run very lean at our plant at where I work at my day job, and we ran lean for the first 20 years I was out there until this other company bought us, and they had the money. They were able to invest in outside contractors, but we used to do it all. We used to do it all ourselves, so we get the whole concept.
Yeah, that's I like the path you took with you had the idea and you started looking for developers because I think a lot of people out there, and I could be wrong, but a lot of people out there they just get overwhelmed with like, okay, I don't know how to blah.
What I hear is more people are scared.
Mhm.
They're scared to make that step. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, if you got an idea, don't be scared. If you think it's worthy of doing it, then find a way to do it. Okay. I was, what my part, how bad I was scared. I was scared of making the money, had to pay the taxes on the money. Because guess what? When you make money, if you make money, you got to pay taxes. You make money, pay taxes. I'm like, okay, if I get to here, I don't want to have to pay the government taxes. But the thing about it, I was told one day, somebody told me this. They said, don't worry about what you make. Just make all you can and deal with the taxes later. Okay, because it's going to happen. That was a scary part in me getting into business. So I even heard this from somebody the other day that they had an idea they wanted to do, and they said, "I'm scared to get into it." So, are you scared because you're scared it's going to be too much work? Are you scared you're going to make too much money? Are you scared of failure? What are you scared of? So my thought is that if you've got to that point where you have an idea and you're ready to go, what do you got to lose? Go ahead and get after it and see if you can't make it happen. The worst thing that will happen is it's going to fail, right? The best thing that happens is you're going to succeed. So,
Oh, bass wrap, jumping right into it. How long do you think it'll be before we have AI fish weigh-in tournaments?
man, I saw the other question a minute ago, right before that, from TKF Real. He was asking about how. Let's go back to that one real quick, and I'll try to answer these. Now, guys, I will answer these as best I can. Okay, so just bear with me. This person's asking, as a tournament director, what can we tell our anglers so that they can be sure that tournaments are going to be safe and free from photo cheat? I guess he means from cheating.
Yeah.
Listen, I've thought about this for the past week since it happened. Cheaters are going to cheat. Okay, there's not. It's hard to stop people from cheating. Those numbers are really, really low. If you think about over the past 10 or 12 years, we've only had a handful of people that really, really cheated, from tail cuttings to board cuttings to now photoshopping to, all these things. One thing I can tell you is we got really good tournament directors, and these tournament directors are watching these fish when they come across. Okay. Honestly, this last one that happened, I'm not sure that AI would have caught it because it's looking at a fish. Okay. It's looking at a board. It's looking at a fish, head to tail. All it would have seen is head to tail. Okay, that's my opinion though. I still think that our anglers and even our directors are not quite ready for AI to do the judging of the fish. So this kind of leads into the other question. I'm not quite sure that society or fishermen in general that's got thousands of dollars on the line are ready for AI to judge your fish. I don't. I think it's still the touchy feely. I think you still got to have that human touch to make it. I've straight up asked people, and they tell me that they'd still rather have somebody look at my fish. Okay. And it may be because that's the society we're in. That may be because of our age group. It could be anything. Let's think of this right. Let's do it this way. Okay. You've got traditional tournaments out there that people still weigh them in, right? They're putting 5 in the boat. They bring them in. They weigh them in. Do you know how hard it is to get that person to change their mind to use something like TourneyX or iAngler or another app? You can't get them to change their mind. So what's going to happen is until things shift, okay, so now we got younger people coming in that are using TourneyX or using apps like this. They are on the AI spectrum. Okay, I'm just saying they're in that AI area, correct? Because that's what they're growing up with. It's just like forward-facing sonar. It's just like anything else. The younger generations and some of the older ones, but mostly younger ones are using the the forward-facing sonar, and they know how it works and they know how to make it work. And the older people don't want to go there. Okay, so it's all in perspective. If you ask me, that's my opinion. So
Right.
I can't give you a date or a time or when it's going to happen. It will happen. Yes. Is it going to happen in 2 years? I can't tell you. Is it going to happen in 5 years? Yeah, I would rather a human judge my fish. I would too, because at least you have someone you can go back to and say, okay, why did you judge it this way? I can't ask AI and say, why'd you judge it this way?
Right.
You know,
And
you
the other
can't,
thing,
you can't learn from it, right? If you do have a mistake, you can't learn from it.
right. And the other thing too, you were just saying about the in-person weigh-ins. I mean, there were people putting weights in walleye and having the guts to walk up in the middle of all of those people, and you can't stop them. They just happen to find the weights in them. Who knows how many times they've done that? Well, you just can't stop people from trying to cheat. So, and
They're gonna find a different way of doing it. We just have to. That's why TourneyX leaves all the pictures out there.
mhm,
And I promise you, if you find that thing and you go to that director and say, hey, I think this is not correct, that director will go back and we'll get some things taken care of. Okay. But it's a tough question, question to answer. But we are working on some things right now in the background that we've got some flags that we're looking at, things that we can actually see if things have been edited and changed and what have you, and try to post some flags up for the directors then to say there's a possibility this fish has been edited. So TourneyX is working on some other things that are going on in the background,
mhm.
and we're going to try to come up with our own analysis of these pictures the best we can and get these flags to the tournament directors so they can make the right decisions.
Right. And I would say, yeah, I know I've priced apps before and I've priced developers. I mean, it costs a lot of money for the security measures to be put in some cases. So it's difficult to stay ahead of the criminal, if you will. They're always surprisingly advanced in their wrongdoings.
I had this conversation with the director the other day. We were talking about some stuff, and he was asking me, he says, man, I don't know if this guy cheated or not. I said, well, have you called him? He said, no. I said, pick the phone up and call him. And just talk to him. Ask him a few questions and wait. Let him answer them for you. I said, 9 times out of 10, he's going to tell you the story between the lines. In other words, he's not going to say, yeah, I cheated. He's going to try to, work his way around it. And you'll be able to understand and say, maybe he did, or maybe he didn't. I've had to call directors back in the day. This is 10 years ago, 11 years, 8 to 9 years ago, when I was judging in the beginning of TourneyX.
Right.
And I would have to call people and ask them these specific questions. Okay, where did you take this fish? Where were you at? What were you doing? This is blah blah, and then just go silent and listen, and they'll actually tell on themselves most of the times. We've got a ton of honest people out there, man. So kudos to the guys that are watching out for that side, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, sometimes when they're in the wrong, they just can't stop talking.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
We kind of got jumped ahead there. Thanks, Bass Raft. No, but so you found the original designer, let's say, for the website on the back end, the developer. How many developers do you have now that you work with?
So back then I had one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I have a server admin that helps me out as well. Now I'm working with a company, and we've probably got 3. We've got one full-time and some backups that do a lot of the testing. So we got, one's doing the development part,
Mm-hmm.
one's doing the testing. And then they also have the app side, an app group as well. So sorry, Roy.
It's okay. They don't know I'm ADHD, and one little thing's like, huh, what? Squirrel? Where were we? Yeah. You know how hard it is to get me back on task, guys? No. So that's the
He's got everything listed like this
I
down his
do.
page.
I
It's like
do.
boom, 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 boom. He said,
We're on page 3. No.
and jump to 6.
Jump to 6. Yeah. But yeah, that's the cool thing is watching the progression of things like that. And I know that the idea is like the coolest thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do this like for myself. I'm gonna start a magazine. It's gonna be great. Well, I just put out an issue. I'm midway through a holiday issue, and then I just realized earlier today I've still got to do next month's release that I haven't even started yet. So yeah, the progression of responsibility to people, and then I don't know about you. When you're doing it kind of a labor of love, I would imagine. It's something you like to do. How do you deal with people who expect more from you when you feel like you're providing a great service as it is? And by that, I mean the ones who are like the negative Nancy's without constructive criticism.
Tell them I'm sorry, I can't get to it, or beg for forgiveness, and we'll move on. You know what I'm saying? But you just try to do the best you can with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
I do get overwhelmed. And here's the funny thing. I wonder if people actually, because if you ever, and this may happen to you, Roy. So is it like you go for like 4 or 5 days and you don't hear nothing like from anybody? You don't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
And like one morning you go to wake up and 7 people message you within the hour. And like, what did y'all all do? Did y'all like get together and make this up and say, hey, we're going to hit Roy up all at one time? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
That's what they do to me. And then I'm like, pulling what little bit of hair I got. I'm trying to pull that out because I don't know exactly which way to go. But you just have to prioritize. You know what I'm saying? Which one needs to be handled first? The others can kind of wait. But here's what I try to do. I try to send messages out to all of them and at least let them know that I recognize that you messaged me. You know what I'm saying? Or that's what people want. Okay.
Yes.
They may not want the full end result, but they want to know that you heard them. Okay.
Right.
And if you hear them and you let them know you heard them, it helps. Okay. Most people don't know this, but I answer every phone call that comes to my phone. Okay. I answer it or I message that person back a message. So I either use text, I use Messenger from Facebook posts, phone calls, emails, all those things. Okay. And every morning my ritual is I get up out of bed at 5 o'clock, open my phone up, see if there's anything going on that morning. Okay. Because somebody at 2 in the morning may have woke up, had a brain fart, they wanted to ask a question about something. And they do. Okay. And that's fine. I message them back. Or I wait till I get to work when I can sit down and really look at my phone where I'm awake and get all the sleep out of my eyes. I'll message them back. If somebody were to, call me that morning, I'm going to answer it. And I'm going to try to do my best to answer the question or see what they got. A lot of times it's something's already been asked. It's just repetition. Okay. So that's easy. I call it easy. But it does get hectic. Just like your job probably gets hectic. But I think the passion that you have, the passion that I have in the business that we're doing, that's what keeps us going and motivated to make things better. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to keep pushing. Who is Bass Raft? I don't know who that is.
That's Joey. I forget his last name. It's failing me now. But he's the one that made a.
He'll tell us in a minute.
He will. Have you met me yet? He made a. Well, it's called the Bass Raft, but it's a stand-up floating kayakish device. No, it's made out of carbon fiber or fiberglass and carbon fiber, all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, he was on here earlier. He's a young man who had an idea, just took it straight to Eichelberger. Okay. That's it. Yeah, Joey. Yep.
Say no, that's not the right Joey.
No, sorry. Oh no, this guy, no, he doesn't do anything. No, but yeah, he took an idea and took it straight to a production. I say production, but him and his family make and sell these bass rafts. I was very intrigued that someone his age took an idea and actually went through with it. So
this goes back to what I was telling you a minute ago. If you have an idea, and you have any inclination it can make something, don't be scared to try. Okay. Um, if you're going to be scared, then it's just going to bother you the rest of your life. You're going to say, what if I had, what if I had done this? So it's tough, but you just got to give it a shot.
Now, do you have any highs and lows that you would like to share with about the business going through, like the moment when you knew that what you had was like really legit, stuff like that? Or
when we hit 100,000 users, that's when I knew it was legit. Okay. When we hit 2 million submissions, which just happened today, by the way.
You heard it here, folks. 2 million fish.
Yeah, 2 million fish caught on TourneyX. 2,900,000, by the way, if you just want to get down to the particulars. But it just rolled over 2 million a day, which is phenomenal. We appreciate that. Just think about that. It's 2 million fish. 2 million. So, but that's kind of a high for me. That's a milestone, huge milestones. I'll tell you, though, going back, what's funny is when I had 5 people on TourneyX, I had 5 people, right? In the very beginning, I was like, whoo. And then I hit 100, and I was like, and I hit 1,000. I hit 1,000. I was like, wow. And that's when it really starts kicking in. You get motivated, and people tell people, and people tell people, and it just starts like this big fire, And before you know it, you got 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and so on and so forth. The funny thing is, I go back now and I look at who those first 200 are, and some of my best friends. Some of them are my best friends. You know what I'm saying? They've been with us from the beginning. They may not all fish now, but they're still in the business, some sort of fashion. So I think that's Ethan Jett.
Yeah.
Must be. Yeah, we talked a couple of days ago. I think it's the first time we've ever really talked. I think we met once, but we talked a couple of days ago. And
he's a cool dude.
He's going to do well. Yeah.
I mean, he's already made it on the cover of my magazine. What more is there for him to do? He's just hang up his hat. He's made it.
So yeah, I think some highs are that, some lows are, and I hate to talk about it, but the lows are, we've just recently had a person pass away in the fishing industry from kayak fishing. We had Rebecca Golden about 7 or 8 years ago died as well, and so they're doing what they love, and we hate it happened, but we can learn from that, and we can make things better. Whatever the circumstances are, we need to learn from those things and try to do better. So
yeah,
retirement is nearing. Maybe for Roy over there.
No, him. He made it on the magazine. He's set.
Oh, his retirement.
His retirement. Yeah. So yeah. So let me ask you this. I know for myself, and I know that when things seemingly get like overwhelming, like we were talking about the pressures of things getting on you, do you have people that are in your circle that are your hype men, if you will, that don't even know they're your hype men?
Yeah, I do. I pick up the phone and call several of them when I need that support. I mean, I probably don't let them know that, but I pick up the phone when I need some support, and then I have these conversations, and it may not be about the reason I'm calling them, or maybe the reason why I'm down, or the reason why whatever's going on, but I just to call and hear them, and we talk fishing and things like that. And sometimes that it'll kind of mellow me out, or ease my mind on some things. You gotta have friends. You gotta have those people that you can pick up the phone and call any time of the day. You really do.
Rob says, Dwayne, what do you foresee in the future of kayak tourneys? Hopefully, some other major organization will adopt the TourneyX platform.
I don't know, Rob. I'm hoping that this year is. I'm hoping this has kind of been our slump. I can look at our numbers from the past 4 years, and they just all kind of done this right each year, and they've gotten. These are sales, by the way. These are the amount of people that have signed up to fish TourneyX tournaments. And that's all I can kind of go off of. So those numbers have been kind of gradually going up. This year, it started up and then it's gone down. I don't know whether that's for political reasons. I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
Right.
I know a lot of people have left the kayak industry. They just decided not to fish anymore. They are people that have memberships with us as our TourneyX membership. They've canceled them, few. So we're going through that right now, but I'm hoping, I'm trying to be positive for next year. I think next year is going to bounce back up, or I hope it's going to mellow out, crest out. It could be we're seeing residual. Everybody blames it on COVID. COVID was one of our best years, and even the year after COVID, we had 2 good years. And then I think that possibly that some of that was our peak, and now it's coming back down. We hope it kind of crests out and then finds its own pattern. It goes back up. We are who makes it. You are, I am, Ethan is, everybody is. Okay. If we don't talk about it and promote it within ourselves to new people, it's going to go down. I think we need to, dig in hard, fish more, talk about it more, enjoy it more. Don't get caught up in this whole negative crap that goes on in Facebook. Be positive to people. Man, I was listening. I was reading some Facebook stuff I'm in a Toyota owners group. Toyota, because I've been looking at new trucks, and these Tundras are really nice. And I was in that group, and some guy comes in there and he asks one simple question. Now, this is weird. This is off the fishing industry.
Right.
He asked one simple question. He says, "Hey, what's the best running boards for the Tundra?" Okay. And they got the running boards, and of course, the first question is, or the first answer was something about, why didn't you just buy a Ford? He said, drive it back to the dealership, go buy a Ford. I'm like, and so it just went downhill from there. Everything was negative. And it just burns my tail that you just put a bad taste in this guy's mouth.
Right.
He's probably never going to come back again and ask a question because somebody didn't answer him positively, And I think if you go back and look at a lot of the posts in the tournament industry, in the kayak tournament industry, when people make posts, you kind of get that same negativity thing. You know what I'm saying? We're not building.
Most definitely.
We're knocking people down. And I think that needs to get fixed. Okay. And I don't know how, but it needs to get fixed.
Well, I have a Facebook group that has 19,000 people in it. And there's questions that are asked that are so repetitive that people just go in there and they're like, I'll give you one example is I'm in an Orion cooker group. It is a smoker that I absolutely love. And every time somebody buys one, they come in and say, how long does it take to smoke a pork butt? Every 4th post is that. But that person just bought it. That person's excited about it. They want to be part of the group. And that's a valid question to ask in the group. And the people that have been in there for so long are so tired of hearing it, as opposed to just letting it slide by. They come in and they ruin that person. And I think that's what happens in the kayak community is you have these people that are so calloused from their own perception of negativity. They just pour it on the new guy and they don't want to be part of that. Like it's so much easier for me to just go fishing versus having to pay to have you tell me how bad this is.
Right.
So,
but as I said, the only people that can fix that is us.
Yes.
Okay. I can't fix you, but only you can fix you. And only I can fix me. We just hope that everybody else can understand they got to fix themselves. So,
right.
So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Social media crap.
No, well, I mean, it's valid because that's the other thing I was going to ask you is like for growing the tournament scene, like what do you foresee to boost the growth on that? Because I've asked some people about starting high school level kayak tournaments. And they're like, well, college is where I'm like, yeah, but if you get them in high school, that's where they're really, that's when kayaks are really the thing. Because
that's a good question. So we've got a couple of groups throughout the U.S. that are running like 5-year-olds to 17-year-olds. I mean, up in Utah, it's I'm trying to think of the names. Anyway, Aaron, what's Aaron's last name? Anyway, So for years, she supported these youth. Okay, and she called me one day and she said, "Hey, Dwayne, I got an idea. I want to start doing." Aaron Mathis. Aaron Mathis. She said, I want to start running a youth division up here." She said, "What would it cost me?" And I said, "Nothing." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Listen, Aaron, if you're willing to put in the effort to get these youth on board and have them start fishing, whether it's from a bank or kayak or whatever, then I'll do it for free." So she calls me up every year. She says, "I need 9 credits," and I pop her in 9 credits, and she goes and builds those tournaments out and gets them ready for those kids to fish. And she gives away prizes, of course, because there's no money, it's just prizes. But what she's building is the next generation,
Yes.
and so um, to answer your question, I think that the high school stuff is a great place to start. And I had some ideas back several years ago about how I wanted to do that, but I'm only one man and I can't do it all.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Oh, it does.
It's hard to do everything that you have ideas to do.
I was a Cub Scout master and a Boy Scout assistant scout master, and it's always when you had the idea, it became your project. It's like, well, why did? Oh, wait a minute. Well, I don't have the bandwidth to keep my mental capacity for what I'm doing now, let alone
Right. 15
that. But 15,
kids.
right?
Yeah.
So, but I
my
think
son was Eagle Scout.
Mhm.
I watched him go from 13 years old to an Eagle. Well, no, he made Eagle Scout before he was 14. That's crazy numbers. Some kids don't make it till they're 18.
Yeah.
But he went through it really quick, really fast. So he did his Eagle Scout project at 14. It's crazy. But he'd been in it since he was, a Cub Scout.
I want to say my son hit Eagle at 15.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
good
Well,
stuff.
it was over COVID. My wife's like, "Well, you've got nothing to do. Let's do badges." And we got back from COVID, and they're like, "Timmy, you got 1 badge. Billy, this." And they're like, "Taylor, 17." They're like, "What?" Yep. Yeah.
Oh
So,
man, it's
but
good stuff.
then you know what
That's
it's like being only 4 hours of your life volunteer. Yeah, it's a lie.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Every Tuesday night.
hmm yeah, I think that the growth of the sport is um, where people need to be focusing right now. And I let me also ask you this. I said, do you think um, the mom and pop feel of our industry switching over to the more corporate takeover that we had in the COVID era, do you think that's also having an effect on people's perception of the kayak world?
When you say mom and pop, like grassroots?
Yeah, like I remember when I first started looking into kayak fishing, everybody seemed like it was this close knit, everybody's friends, family, all the way up,
Yeah.
even through the kayak companies. You could almost call this company and you would get the owner or someone high up in there that could make a decision. Whereas now you've got to jump through 50,000 hoops to get
Oh yeah.
anything done. So it's not.
Yeah, it has changed. You're right. Not sure really how to answer that one because I don't really deal with. I thought you were more in lines with like. Well, I'll tell you this much overall on that question. This year we put on 80 new directors,
Mhm.
80 new ones for 2025. Now they've all been just small, 5 anglers, 10 anglers, 15 angler type events. Nothing huge. But as I've told many, many people, I'd rather have 1,000 10 angler events than I had 3 or 4 500 angler events, per event. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it gets to be just stupid crazy when you get up over 200 people, 200, 225, 250 people. It gets really crazy dealing with all the folks. But when you were asking that question, Mega, were you talking about like retail companies or are you talking about the fishing industry? I mean, the tournaments themselves?
So in order for there to be tournament anglers, there have to be anglers. And I feel like when people are getting into the fishing industry, like when I first started, there was always from the retail all the way to the corporate level of the kayak company, it seemed like you were talking with the guy who lives next door.
Okay.
And I feel like that's changed. So it's more like you're buying from a big box.
Yeah.
And you're only making friends with the people you meet on the water. Like if you happen to put in at the same time next to Dwayne, I'm like, you like kayaking too, Dwayne? And then if you're into it, then maybe I'll get into it. But I
think you're right. I think that's kind of missing. We're missing people because we don't have that. I go back to the touchy feely. I call it that, which sounds really corny as hell, but
right.
you know what I'm saying. That handshake and smile feeling. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think we are missing that. I think that when we're at these ramps, if you see a kayaker that may not be participating in an event, I really think that we all should take the time to walk over and shake their hands and just say, "Hey, you know, you come here fishing a lot, blah blah blah. You ever thought?" And we tend to do that here in Mississippi. You know, I'm not saying Mississippi.
Yeah.
We do it anywhere, but we have a lot of guys that may or may not kayak fish, tournament fish, but yet they want to, but they're scared to get into it, and all they need is that one glance or that one handshake or that one, "Hey, how you doing? Would you like to come fish with us?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we are missing a lot of that. But you know, back to, if you think about this, there are still a handful of retailers out there that are still one on one with people.
Yes.
Okay, when you see them out and they'll tell you who they are and you can visit with them, and you know what I'm saying. They're corporate, but they're not corporate level. Is that what I'm saying?
Yes.
They're out there, but now there are some that are so far up the corporate level you can't get them to answer an email, which just boils my blood.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you meet somebody and you send them an email, and they're ghosting you for 8 months. You know,
Yeah.
like, we just talked about this. So,
and then we discussed one of our mutual friends has gone out of business in his kayak shop. the level of treatment you would get in there, his shop versus going to a big box is it's nowhere near the same. You go to let's say you go to big box, you say, I want a kayak. I could walk in there and tell that person, I want to get that lifetime youth kayak to go fishing in the ocean. And that person would look at me and go, have fun. Because they have no clue.
They don't. But you get that person knows what they're talking about. They're going to say, no, sir, don't take that out there. Don't buy that. You know, go buy a rotomold. Don't buy a press together. Don't go buy, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get that.
Yeah.
But
if I go someplace that's legit, they're going to like, so is that for your lunch? Yeah. Like, hey, wait a minute, you know? But
you're just not going to get that extra effort.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it could be because they don't have any dog in that hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be because they don't know anything. Right.
Right.
Now, when it's your business, then they're going to give you that extra. I mean, Jane Falk, for example, up in Missouri or wherever he's at, I think it's Missouri or something. He drives like halfway across the country to go get his kayaks. He takes them back to the shop up there and sells them.
Right.
But he'll sit and have a conversation about that kayak. You know what I'm saying? If you go buy it from him, or if you go to eco fishing up there, you know, in Missouri, Camden, Missouri, those guys up there, they'll talk kayak fishing with you all day long. And I think those types of retail stores are the ones that kind of keeps us rolling, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah, and I think that they're going to be they're going to be sorely missed when they're gone. And I don't think it's going to take much for it to happen, especially if they're strictly kayak sales. You know, they have to diversify with other stuff to just survive. You know.
Yeah.
So where do you see TourneyX? I mean, is it going to go? Do you have like a 5-year plan? We expand into.
We've got some ideas we're going to put into the app. I'm not going to disclose those right now, but we're going to.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get more of the public side invested into the app. And I'll, I can allude to that a little bit. Just basically opening the app up so right now, if you open our app up and you use it, it's just for the anglers. It's nothing more than just an angler use for those tournaments. And what I want to do in the future is open it up to the public so the public can come in, follow people, get push notifications when somebody's doing well. More interaction between the public and the angler, or friends, family, and the angler, those types of things.
Right.
And I think that with doing that, I think we can increase our fishing numbers, because I think some of those people will say, hey, it looks like fun, I want to go try that, or I think that's fun, I want to go buy a kayak and just start fishing a little bit. And then I think that little bit of a push would get them in the direction, maybe they'll start, tournament fishing as well. So,
Ooh, you said you always answer your phone. No, I'm kidding.
what is my mama? I'm going to be in double duty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like that idea, like we were discussing before, that, shall not be fully disclosed, but I think it's a great a path and progression. So if someone is in a tournament and they feel like somebody's doing something they shouldn't, what's the path of bringing that to light?
Well, typically the directors take care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even though I own TourneyX, the directors, hold on just a second.
Yep.
Okay. Something I'll call her in a minute. Sorry. When Mama calls, she's 86 years old. When she calls, I got to at least look. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
Say the question again, Roy. I'm sorry.
If someone has an issue, how do they go about?
So typically, our directors handle any issues that are within their organization. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get involved with those unless it's something that they can't, fully take care of themselves. Right. We've had a couple of instances in the past where, my goodness, we had a guy that was actually slashing tires. This goes back a little bit further. We had this one guy that we think he had some mental illness, had some issues. He loved to fish. He was a great fisherman, catching big bass in Florida and places, but he just wasn't mentally stable, is what we were thinking. And when somebody would win or do well in a tournament that he was in, he would always bash them, okay, through Facebook, social media, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I physically called him one day and I said, man, look, we can't be doing that. I said, he didn't do anything wrong. I said, he submitted a fish, and the tournament director allowed a fish to be submitted twice in a month. You can resubmit a fish if you catch it again, say a week later. Well, he did that. And in the rules, the guy could do it. This guy got all bent out of shape because he did that and ended up doing well. So it got into a real big issue where this guy was bashing his family, going after friends, and he was just mentally disturbed. Anyway, I found out I thought everything kind of calmed down because we had this long conversation with him, and a year later found out he was doing some other things, slashing some tires and getting into the tournament director's face and doing all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we all came together as tournament directors and owners and just removed him from TourneyX. Like, you're gone, no questions asked. You're out of here. That's when it got really bad. Okay, right. And they had to, and so now we're all on the lookout for him if he ever comes back as that same name again, or if he ever, you know what I'm saying. I can't stop them from coming back as Tom Smith, right? I can't. But if Tom Smith is in the same local club or local area, they're gonna have to figure out who that guy is, and of course, when they find out, they'll kick him out again. So I try not to get involved with it if I can. If somebody calls me and says they have a problem with something, my first message is to contact your director and sort that out. If they say, well, I've already contacted my director and we've had conversations and this is not happening, blah, 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 I'll call the director and see what was said, because I want to hear this side and I want to hear this side. I'm not a judge, but I want to just be fair. I want to listen to both sides of the story. And then we have to make decisions upon that. So that's how I handle it. We're a big company, but we're also a small company. Okay.
So what's interesting is listening to you describe that, where we both had children that were in the Scouts. It reminds me a lot of a Boy Scout camp out. This is going on. Have you been to your SPL? No. Well, go to him. Then the SPL, what happened? Can you fix it? No. Okay, go to this person. Okay. You know, you just got the tiers of how things should be handled. So Cajun wants to know what are the best ways to get started if he wants to start a local kayak tournament?
So, Rob, the way we handle it is we've got a link on the top of our website. It's got a register with a little drop down arrow. You click it, drops down. Anybody can be a director. I don't discriminate. I don't have a problem with it. Click the little button that says register, and it says request for director. Now, I will tell you, if you have an angler account, you'll have to have a separate email address for your director account. It has to be a total separate entity. When you fill that form out, that small form out, it comes to me. It doesn't go to my assistant. It comes to me. I don't have an assistant. It's mine. I get the email. I check those emails every morning, like I told you. And throughout the day, I look for director request notifications, and I get those in an email. And I'll probably pick up the phone and call you because that's what Dwayne does. I call the directors. I want to know who you are. I want to know where you're located, and I want to know what your objective is. That's me. Because I'm not a control freak, but I want to know what you got in mind. You know what I'm saying? I want to know a little bit about who you are and to understand what your feelings are and why do you want to do this? You know, because the worst thing, the thing we want to make sure of is that you can succeed. If you succeed, we succeed, right? If you succeed in having a good relationship with your anglers, and then we can succeed as well. Our tier system is anglers are first, directors are second, and we're third, period. Point blank. We got to take care of our anglers. If we don't have them, we don't have squat. Okay. You can have 1,000 directors, but if they don't take care of their anglers and listen to what they want, what they need, and how they want to do these tournaments, you ain't got nothing because they're going to go somewhere else. Okay. So we got to take care of those guys first. Get them paid quickly, listen to their thoughts, be reasonable, all those sorts of things. But yeah, I'll pick the phone up. I'll call you. We'll visit. And then if everything goes well, I'll just shoot you the link. You can build your tournament director account and you're off to the races. So pretty easy.
And Ethan said it was awesome. His followers always ask how they can interact and follow on the leaderboards. Making it easier would be awesome. So,
well, honestly, we may end up, as I said a while ago, we may go to a more public view via the app because our numbers are showing that people are using the mobile device way more than they are the website now. And, it's shifted, as you would guess. And so why not go and take advantage of that, and get them in the app, maybe do some short advertising, things and this, what I'm saying? Nothing big, just get them over in the app. And that way we could hopefully get them involved in some tournaments down the road.
Perfect. Well, we're coming up on the hour mark. Dwayne, is there anything you want to shoot out there that we've missed and haven't said, or?
Man, no, I've just, it's been a while. You and I've been back and forth about trying to get on your show. And I really, really, really appreciate what you're doing, and really appreciate you inviting me on. I appreciate people hopping in tonight. If you need me, give me a call. You got my number. My number is somewhere on the internet, somewhere. It's underneath the website. If you need, I like to have you on a public view. Yep. And so if, message me, email me, smoke signals, whatever you need to do, if you need something. And I know we had a couple of little discrepancies on the website on the stats, and I'm working on those tonight. I got about 4 or 5 things that I got my direct developers looking at tonight. So it's all the time, every night. I got something comes in and something goes out. So these guys are full time. They work every night for me, 40 hours a week, 52, whatever it is, 52 weeks a year. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys being on TourneyX. I want to say I think it's the most intuitive app that's out there, the fastest using app. I mean, I know I can submit a fish in like 22 seconds. I can go from taking the photo to submitting the fish in 22 seconds, fishing back in the water. I don't think you can do that with any other app. I think our upload times are good. There might be a possibility that we go to doing videos as well soon. So we may have a little balance where you can still do tournaments with photos, or if you care to do video, you can upload videos. So, and that would give you your video of your catch and the release. So those are some things that might be coming up soon. We'll see.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come on. You do some amazing things. We've chatted in the past, and I feel like you and I have a lot in common with the things that the way we think about things, the way we have just sort of like said, screw it and do it, if you will, and then work our way through it.
That's right.
And,
That's right. Failure is good sometimes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Failure only makes you want it more. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people will just crawl up and go in a hole, but you got to pick yourself up and keep going. So
Yeah. I've done everything that I've attempted. My mom has always said a prayer for me. And when I started the magazine, she's like, I pray for you, but I don't want it to fail. I'm like, you know what? Maybe they were supposed to. Just go ahead. She prayed for me, and I walked in. The phone was ringing with my first sale. I was like, okay, there we go. So,
there you go.
But
and that's the way I felt when I got my first angler, and second angler, third angler. And then we had so many people that are members now. They paid members through TourneyX. I mean, it's $30 a year. Okay. It does all your stats and gives you all that kind of information. And it's a calling card for you, for people to know what you're doing. It's not a lot of money. It helps keep our lights on, and we appreciate it.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to go throw you in the background, say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll come back in with you.
All right.
All right, everyone. That was I believe this is episode 40. I messed up posting 39. I'll double check. Maybe it's 39. I had an early morning. I'd like to say happy birthday to Chase. I missed his birthday. But anyway, and his wife, Kayla, is doing a great show. So hopefully that's going well. Give them a quick shout out. So if you get an opportunity, please go to snakerivermanufacturing.us and check out all of the kayak trailers that Steve and his crew are putting together. They're amazing, amazing trailers, and they'll get you to the water in class. They'll also make sure you make it back home. This episode also brought to you by VikingKayakUSA.com. Go check them out. They have great paddlecraft to get you out in almost any type of water. Just a great selection, and it's here in the States. So if you are in the market for some coffee, go to kayakcoffee.com and use Cafe 20 for 20% off your entire order. Also, if you like the mug that you see, I've got mine filled with stuff, but if you like this coffee cup, you can go to Nico's Art Therapy on Facebook, and all of the proceeds go to Nico and his family for his therapy. So thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.